All right, so our guest for today is Eric Wolterstorff. I hope I got that name correctly.
Yes, you did.
Our guest today has spent more than 3 decades helping people understand trauma, emotional regulation, and the psychology behind human behavior. Beginning his journey through psychotherapy, bodywork, yoga, and meditation, he later expanded his work beyond the therapy room into crisis management, organizational leadership, and international partnerships across countries including Indonesia, Syria, Afghanistan, and Liberia. Today, he trains therapists, coaches, and trauma professionals, helping them develop the skills needed to work with people in crisis while maintaining their own emotional balance. In this episode, we will explore practical techniques anyone can use to develop greater self awareness, improve impulse control, and stay calm under pressure. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I like the name of your show.
Thank you so much. I get that a lot, a lot, a lot. Uh, so, Eric, your career has taken you from psychotherapy to international crisis management. What inspired that journey and what connects all those different experiences?
My work began with the idea of cultural trauma, that a whole population can be traumatized. And what does that mean for how the population behaves? How do you get the population maybe has problems working together, has problems coordinating because they've been traumatized? And that's what I've been wanting to work on from the beginning. But I couldn't begin with working, of course, with parts of a country, with a state or a country that was too big. So I began by working with individuals, then families, then businesses in crisis, then international programs, and now in the last 5 years, beginning to start to work with communities and states. So I've been climbing a ladder.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Eric, you often say that self awareness is the foundation of self control. This is the best place to talk about self control, of course. So, why is becoming aware of ourselves so difficult?
We can gain an ability to watch ourselves when we act, but it's not something we do automatically. So normally when I'm angry, I'm just angry. And I can gain the ability to watch myself. So I can watch myself when I get angry. And when I can watch myself, then that gives me the ability to say, okay, you're angry, Eric, but don't open your mouth. You're angry, Eric, but don't move. You're angry, Eric, but don't make a decision right now. And this is where the self-control, the impulse control comes from. But the first step in that is to be aware. And you said, why is it so hard? It's because we have to learn how to do it. We just don't do it naturally.
So, how can we learn how to do it?
So anybody can start with, we do something right now. I could look out the window and I'm seeing a tree. But that's fine. But if I say the sentence, I see the tree, I'm beginning to be a little bit more self-aware. Now stay with me. It goes one more step. If I say, I notice that I'm seeing the tree, now it's like there's a little place in my brain that is noticing that another part of my brain is seeing the tree. So that's where to start. It's that simple. So in this little 5 senses exercise, I would find 5 things. I would say, I notice that I see this green lamp. I notice that I see the computer screen. I notice that I can see this fan. I notice that I can see this door. And that begins to build the muscle. And then I do it with sounds. I notice that I heard that car as it passed. I notice, and so on. And then I do things that I smell, and things that I taste, and things that I touch. And that's building this self-awareness, which is the beginning of self-control.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's start with your first exercise, the senses exercise. How does it work, and why is it so effective for grounding ourselves?
Um, so ears, eyes, nose, mouth, and body. When we get to the body and we say, I notice what I'm feeling in my body. So I notice maybe the beating of my heart. I notice my breathing. I notice the temperature of my body. I notice maybe there's some tightness in my right knee. I notice that my left shoulder is aching. So when I notice those things, then what will happen is, so I practice that every day. Every day I practice 5 things I hear, I see, I smell, I taste, I feel in my body. I practice that for many, many days. And then I start to practice with a friend or a colleague or somebody in my family. And when we practice, we might play a game. We might play a game like in the TV shows that are so dramatic. I would say, okay, let's pretend to get in a fight right now. Let's argue about something. Let's argue about football. Let's argue about rugby. And let's argue right now. And whose team is better, or whether they should have made that trade. And we get more and we argue more and more, and then we pause. And I say, what's happening in my body right now? And I say, oh, my heart's beating fast. Oh, I'm breathing stronger. Oh, I'm hot. My body is hot, especially like my chest is hot. I feel my arms. And then I start to go, oh, when I get really excited about something, maybe when I get angry, I start to notice how my body gets all kind of more intense. It becomes more hot and faster. I say, okay, so I'm learning more about what happens. So then I keep practicing. And then what happens is I'm walking down the street and somebody walks past me and they bump me in the shoulder. And it used to be that I would immediately get hot and I would say, hey man, what do you think you're doing? Now what I do is somebody bumps me on the shoulder and I notice right now that my breathing speeds up and my body's just, it's filled with heat. But I'm noticing it. Because I notice it, it gives me a couple of seconds. It gives me a second or two to say, that person bumped into me by accident? Was that person moving away from somebody else? Or was that person being aggressive to me? Because if they were being aggressive to me, then maybe I want to be aggressive back to them. But maybe it was an accident. Maybe maybe a child ran past them and they moved to get out of the way of the child and they accidentally bumped me. And if it was an accident like that, then I say, oh, it's okay. And I keep walking. And those decisions happen in business. They happen with our family. They happen with our friends all the time. And if we can pause for a second, then we can pick our reaction and we have much more control.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eric. So I hope people can be able to take control of their life rather than allowing their life to control them by simply being aware. But Eric, most times awareness, we tend to we can know about this and still not be aware. Why do you think that's
Yes.
the case?
Because to be able to do it, we have to practice doing it. If I can read everything about football, I can learn everything about every player. I can learn all of the rules. But I can't play football unless I practice playing football. I've got to get out and I've got to run and I've got to kick and I got to turn and I got to jump. That happens through practice. So the idea of self-awareness, the idea of impulse control is like learning the rules of football. But if you want to get good at it, then you got to get out and train. So the way you train to get more self-control around this is you train self-awareness, like the 5 senses exercise. And you train the noticing your body. And you train those over and over, and then you're going to notice that you're getting better at it. Training.
All right. So let's move on to the second exercise, which focuses on impulse control by simply noticing what's happening in the body. So
Yeah.
why does paying attention to physical sensations help us make better decisions?
Because our body reacts before our heart or our head do. If you move toward me in a way that is very kind of gentle and steady and open, and I know who you are, my body reacts. My body reacts before my mind even knows who it is. Let's say it's dark and you're walking up to my house. You're walking up to where I live, and you're walking up, and I can't even see who is that walking up, but like my body can kind of tell from the shape and the movement. Oh, it's Darlington. And my body begins to just relax and open. I say, here comes my friend Darlington. But if I see a shape walking up to my house and I don't know it, or it appears to be a little bit aggressive, to my whole body, before I see who it is, my whole body, the muscles get tense. I focus with my eyes. My whole body reacts before I even think. So when we focus on body, we get to what happens first. And if we're going to have self-control about our emotions, we want to start with noticing our body. Because again, if I'm noticing my body and I see a shape coming up toward the door and my body is relaxed, I go, huh. I say, who is that? He says, Darlington. I say, hey, Darlington. But I listen to my body. But let's say a shape's coming up that I can't even recognize yet, and my body gets tense. Then I say, hey, who is it? And they say, oh yeah, is this the so-and-so residence? I say, no, it isn't. They live down the street. Have a nice night. But you see, I'm much more tense because I don't know if it's danger or if it's safe. So I listen to my body, and my body gives me a better sense of it.
Okay, Eric. So your third exercise involves recalling a positive memory.
Mm-hmm.
How can something as simple as remembering a good experience help us to regulate our emotions?
Okay. So the first exercise was our five senses, right? I notice what I see, I notice what I hear. Then the second exercise is to notice your body. But the good memory exercise is so important because our memory, we can use our memory to calm ourselves down. So let's say I'm at work and I've just had one very stressful meeting and I've got about 10 minutes and then I've got another stressful meeting I'm going into. And I know if I go in stressed, I'm probably not going to have a good meeting. So what I can do is I can do the good memory exercise. And the good memory exercise, I say, I want to remember something that was something good that happened to me. It could have been yesterday and it could have been 10 years ago. Oh, last night, my mother fixed dinner for the family. Oh, and I can smell the food and I can hear my mother's voice. Oh. And then I notice my body and I say, oh, I'm breathing more deeply. Oh, I can smell the food. My mouth is starting to water. I'm remembering the food. And I'm noticing my muscles are starting to relax. And I can hear the sound of her voice. Yeah, my whole body is getting softer and calmer. So I do this for like 5 or 10 minutes. And at the end of the 5 or 10 minutes, I'm calm. I've got more awareness because I've been remembering what I heard and I smelled and I tasted. And I've been noticing my body. And I walk into that next meeting and I'm calm. And I have much more control about how I'm going to behave.
Okay, Eric. So many people react before they think,
Yeah.
especially during a conflict. How can someone create space between the trigger and their response? Because trigger is so fast. You cannot even start thinking, oh, don't be angry, don't be angry, don't be angry, don't react. You don't as if the brain sends the trigger and your body does the action.
Right. So it goes back to training. You practice this. I notice that I hear. I notice that I see. I notice that I smell. And you do the same thing with noticing your body sensations. I notice my breathing. I notice my legs. And you practice the good memories. And as you do that, it gives you a little bit of space before you react. So it's wonderful, Darlington, that you're from South Africa. When I teach this training, when I teach these skills, it doesn't matter what country I'm in. I give the example from Nelson Mandela when he was in prison that he talks about in his autobiography, that he had a picture of his family, and he would look at that picture, and that was his good memory. And he would look at it again and again, and it helped him to find a place of calm so that he then could be more aware, so then he wouldn't react so automatically and so quickly. It helped his self-awareness. It helped his impulse control. It helped his self-control, the good memory.
All right. So for someone who has experienced trauma but has never sought for therapy, myself, that's me. What are some safe practices they can begin using on their own?
There are a lot of practices, but I would start with these three. And when somebody is pretty good at these three, so if you did these three exercises and you did them for a few months, you said, I can do these three exercises and they help me. And I can do things, things are different for me. I don't get so angry so quickly. I can calm myself down more easily. I'm better in meetings. I'm better with my family. What's next? Then there's another 1 or 2 or 3 exercises to do. Because most people anywhere can't afford therapy or don't want to get therapy, or there aren't enough skilled therapists. So we've got to do most of this work on our own. These 3 exercises I always start with. And I've done these for hundreds and hundreds of hours of practice. So I've done a lot of training,
Okay. So if my listeners practice just one habit every day to improve emotional regulation and
Yes.
self-control,
Yes.
which one would you recommend?
Um, I would do the one that makes most sense to you or that is most attractive to you. I would learn all 3, but I would start with the one that seems most interesting to you. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and giving us practical tools that can help us become calmer, more aware, and more intentional in how we respond to life's challenges. For those who want to learn more about your work, your training programs, and resources on trauma, mindfulness, and emotional resilience, how can they do that?
There are, if your listener is a professional therapist, then they should go to our professional website, which is called traumaintegrationprotocol.com. That's for professionals. Traumaintegrationprotocol.com. If your listener is not a professional, not a professional therapist or social worker, they could go to a website called The Simplest Path, one word, thesimplestpath.com. And in that little website, there are 3 guidebooks. And they can get one of those guidebooks. And the guidebooks, they're $20. They could get a guidebook and they could start working out of the guidebook. And the guidebooks are for people who can't or don't want to, or for some reason they can't or don't want to see a therapist.
Okay, Eric, thank you so much. This has been so exciting. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and giving us practical tools that can help us become calmer. For those who are listening, thank you for listening to Control or Be Controlled. And if this episode helps you better understand yourself or someone you care about, share it with a friend or a family member. Until next time, remember, true control doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from controlling your own mind, emotions, and reactions. So, bye, guys, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you for having me.